Corey, Infinite Corridors. P-Tag, Luca Graham, hello. Welsh Warrior, Martin Healy, Emma Thornhill, Eddie White, Mark Emery, Illicit Virtue, Ricky C, David Anderson, Mindagus, Imran, Beyond Belief, hello, YouTube, Coden Houston, from the Irish Holiday Inn in Turkey, Plate Warp, Gaining Wisdom, Tony Dixon, hello, World Without Curve, John McLaughlin, Pandemonium, James CT, how we doing? Infinite Corridors, Totality, Plain Truth, Ninja Panda, Pokey Poop Shoot. I had to laugh there when I switched the YouTube on and it comes up with the main YouTube thing and you get into news. Sunak promises common sense Thatcherism. I had to laugh, you know. Common sense and fucking politics, the whole structure, right? The whole creation of this thing that we call society, organised living, is a fucking absolute shambolic mess. It is idiotic from its very conception. But now we've got these dipshits as this Rishi Sunak. I'm going to be the next Prime Minister of Britain. I'm a needy, insecure fuckwit that requires control and the ability to manipulate and coerce other people into doing what we think they should do. So Rishi Sunak's going to use common sense, apparently. Common sense would tell him that he should give up being a politician, wind his fucking neck in, grow a set, and start using some fucking intelligence. Right? There is no common sense in fucking politics. Absolutely zero. It's just a bunch of needy fuckwits trying to control other people. Common sense, Thatcherism. Okie dokie. Rishi, good luck with that, son. Methinks it's going to end up the same as it always does. The agendas roll forward, the plan rolls out, and onwards we go. Where was I? Right, Fly McFlatface. I seen that email you sent me, Chris. I seen that. Say something about that in a bit. Diane Abbott epitomises the model MP. You don't even know who it is. I pay absolutely no attention and give no fucks about any politician or anything that represents this mental illness that we call civilised living. It's a fucking joke. If a channel is set up to carry on discussing something, then they are going to avoid aspects of FE that can be resolved. There's many people out there in many channels and many representatives of Apparent Truth who avoid certain things because they have, you know, invested interests in whatever it is they're up to, right? And some people, you know, this topic is very, very toxic. It triggers, you know, the worst in people. And a lot of it is deliberate because it is massively important to human beings to come to this question. You know, why is it important? What does it matter what shape the earth is? Well, the shape really doesn't have any bearing on the behaviours of human beings. But, you know, when human beings are operating from a falsity, and it's a continual, you know, programming and influence of a particular narrative of your existence, then it's going to have an effect on you. Predominantly the effect is fear driven, it's rooted in fear. You know, we hear this continually, what does it matter, who cares, blah blah blah. That's coming from a position of people in a state of, you know, having to survive from one moment to the next, which is fair enough. A lot of us find ourselves in that position. But for me, when you ask questions and you go deeper, you start to uncover and realise what's the cause of your situation of stress and anxiety at this moment in time. You know, regardless of what anybody believes about the world or what you want to believe about the world, religious beliefs, you know, ideas, concepts, like, see whatever it is, see if we agree that the most important thing for the majority of human beings is to be stress-free, to live an easy life, to live in comfort, to be there for each other, to support each other, then, you know, everything else falls by the wayside. That's really what the majority of people are looking for, and I totally forget where I was going. I've just had an absolute brain fart. I've probably got into it too quickly. I'll come back. It's getting very warm all of a sudden. I was out on the bike with the dog earlier, and it was quite cold. It was raining. I felt a chill, and in the space of half an hour the temperature just went boom, and now, you know, I'm really feeling it. It's bizarre. How's the weather? Shite as fucking usual. We had 2 days of sun. The fear porn was out in full force. Ugh, the hottest day ever. You know, again, when I was a child, you used to burn the soles of your feet walking on the concrete. You know, it was just normality. There's another aspect to this fear porn, which to me suggests that it's a psychological attempt to normalise overcast, lack of sun. You know, because they make such a big deal, especially here in Scotland. I can only talk from my position here in Scotland and the way I'm seeing it as a possibility. It normalises overcast days for people because they make such a big deal of a sunny day and warm weather. Again, when I was a child, spring all the way through to the end of summer, that's the weather you got. Right? Predominantly, you get sunny, decent spells of weather. Now, it's one day here, another day there, and that's about it. So for me, it normalises overcast weather when they make such a big deal of one day of sunshine. Oh, let's go into meltdown, it's warm and sunny, ooh. As if people have to fear warmth and sun. No, but there's fires in places, whatever. Anyhow, where was I? The politics thing. Aye, that was my point. You know, real people, genuine people, the majority of people don't give a fuck about politics. All they give a fuck about is chasing after things that make them happy, satisfied. Right? And for me, that's just easy, stress-free living. Right? Using wisdom. I mean, where has wisdom gone these days? It used to be that the elderly or the elders would have the wisdom. I don't see that anymore. It seems to have totally been eroded. You know? People think that, you know, by dominating other aspects of society or other behaviours in society that they can make a change or make a difference. You're never going to make a change and make a difference. Let's get it fucking clear. You know, we exist in chaos. These orders that human beings try and, you know, impose are just silly ideas and silly notions that don't benefit people. May benefit a few, but it doesn't benefit the whole. You know? And again, my brain is fucking farting. Forget what I'm going to say. Dale, would you agree that stress is necessary for growth? Like when you work out, you're putting your body under stress to encourage growth. I'd agree there's a necessary amount. People these days, I stress in that kind of sense, James, of course, but I think we've got a lot of psychological and emotional stress that's no warranted and no needed and serves no other purpose than, you know, causing the demise of the individual. I mean, again, how many people, I say this so many times, how many people have gone through drug abuse, depression, some of these mental things that we call mental illness, And for me, when you analyse and study it, again from my own perspective, it's because I'm born into an unnatural, abnormal situation. So that, unless we can say, well, there's some higher spiritual progressive use, like if I go and work out, say I'm training to, compete in some sporting event, then putting my body through certain stress benefits me, right? But that's because there's a goal to that. When we're talking about emotional and psychological stress, where's the benefit? And again, for somebody like me, the majority of my childhood, my 20s and, half of my 30s at least, was spent in a bad place psychologically and emotionally. And you could say, well, I'm in a better place now and yada yada, but I'm getting older now. My youth's gone. So in that regard, what purpose was it for? Oh, it's so that you could be a woke person and help. I mean, we could go through these ideas. Again, I think it's a very complex, discussion with many layers to it. Stress, I think, is a good thing in, certain aspects that we've just discussed, but I think there's a lot of unnecessary, what I would call false stress. People getting up to a dead-end job, something that they have no want or desire in, no creativity, no spark for whatsoever, just so that they can put gas and electricity and pay for the bricks and mortar that surround them. That's just a stress that doesn't have to be there. And it's all under the guise of, this is life, this is the way it is, this is what good living is. It's certainly not the case. This structure, this system is only there to cater for a few who, are lucky enough to gain some wealth out of it. But again, we can talk about wealth in many different regards. The materialistic wealth and gaining stature and a pseudo-intellectual capacity over other people. I mean, if that floats their boat, then fine. For me, that's the work of evil minds. That's what I would identify as evil behaviour, right? Because it's a system that's not there to cater for the majority. It's a system that caters for the few. These types of sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic mindsets are the ones that flourish and get places. The likes of me, I just want to live and let live. Live an easy life. Work to me should be, getting food for that day, or getting fuel, firewood, whatever it may be. No chasing my tail for, inanimate pieces of paper so that I can pay for fucking gas and electricity, which, should we even be paying for in the first place? Again, it comes back to this whole notion. What human beings think they have the right to declare that this is theirs and that they have dominion and dominance over any aspect of this reality. What was this? Surgeon Ardell put a child in a room with no electric gadgets. Up till the 1990s, the child would find ways to amuse themselves. Now they don't know what to do without phones or consoles. Again, Alan, I totally agree, and we can't blame the technology as being something inherently bad or evil or any of these things. It's how it's being packaged and sold to us, and how people are incorporating it into their lives. Technology again can have a very useful function for us, but I totally agree. When I was a kid, and I'm sure many people of my age can remember, your time was spent outdoors. It was a horrible feeling having to be indoors. Days gone by, when I was a child, you could hear mothers and fathers shouting at the top of their voice on their children to come in. It's time to go to bed, to get a bath, go to your bed. Even getting home for food was a hard task. I would be out in the morning from 7 o'clock with a football to, you were dragging me in at night. Again, every aspect of our being, regardless of whether we look at these things, a child should live this life or a child should live that life, where are we getting these notions of should? and how we should be or how we shouldn't be or any of that stuff. What is that rooted in? Again, I think the most important thing for us is not to, use ideology and impose our ideas. The only thing that I can do as a parent is to offer nurture, stability, love, compassion, food, healthy food, right? That to me is the only role I need to fulfill. That child has its right to discover its own being and to ask its own questions, to find itself. It doesn't require me to impose any ideology upon it. This is how you should live. Well, I lived this way as a child and blah, 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 blah. Me being that child is no different from any other child who was born in the 2000s that's had their face on an iPhone. They may have a different perception of certain things, but the overall, structure and behaviours are the same. And again, it's all rooted in this, which brings me to the main point of this. Why does it matter? Who cares what shape the earth is? Well, whatever shape the earth is not going to alter behaviours, but your ideas surrounding it are surely going to have an influence on you. Right? Again, for me, and I constantly repeat this because it's the truth, the world is suffering from massive psychosis, massive delusion, a massive bout of mental illness. Human beings have never established where they are, what the parameters of where they are actually is, if there are parameters, if there are restrictions, and at some other level other than governmental, man-made restrictions, whether we're encased in some sort of structure, whether there's access to this structure or exits out of this structure, links to other areas, other pods, other ponds. Anything's a possibility at this time. And this is where the number's been done on human beings, because human beings are naturally inquisitive and explorative. This whole system and structure has been set up to corral and to diffuse that in you. Exploration now to people who's gone on a safari trip or gone on some organised fucking day trip to Antarctica or some little region of Antarctica, or, oh, let's climb Mount Everest, look at me, I'm an explorer. And exploration, again, has got many layers to it. There's exploration of the self, there's exploration of facets of the self that extend into the world, whether it be your hobby, your passions, your whatever. Right? And there's also exploration of the objective arena. What is it? Where did it come from? How far does it go? But if you're just born into the state of it's been figured out and people are telling you what life is, what the world is, what the universe is, then right there and then, if you take that on board, you are now stifled. You're now under a hypnotic trance. So where do you go from there? And again, a lot of these things, when I'm talking about them, are no conscious. Right? They're influencing you at a subconscious level. A lot of these things are subliminal. Because you're taking it on board, these narratives of what it means to exist. Whether it's some, pseudo-scientific narrative of big bangs and evolution, or whether you're born into some religious background that's telling you your being and your purpose of being. These things are all the same. If you're born with an innate ability to explore and be an inquirer, there is absolutely no necessity for you to accept stories on those fundamental questions. We do not require stories. Stories are there to lead you and to implant an idea in you. Objective exploration requires no stories, no language, no utterances from any human being whatsoever. So the minute you find yourself lending your attention to an existential story, you've cut yourself off, you became ignorant again. It even feels ridiculous for me to even put this in the title. But again, there is ridiculous people out there that have these notions. But again, I understand why, because they don't comprehend the bigger picture and why they're in the situation they're in right now. The situation they're in right now, the priorities for them is gaining what they need in order to sustain their being. So they're looking for opportunities to alleviate that stress. Which seems to be the way of it. You know, even left to your own devices, if you had to hunt, you know, if you had to, you know, sustain yourself off your own back, through that process you would look and seek out methods and ways to make it easier on you. It's not a paper thing, it's this wee shelf. I'm going to have to take it off and move it. So see if I do that, you'll see it's just the top of the shelf here, or the underside of the shelf. It's obstruction. The shelf's curved. That's what I just said, Darwin, it's the curvature. Chris F.E., how's it going? And that's fine, Bonnie Scotland, you know, increasing comfort for ourselves. Again, I'm a thrill seeker, I'm a pleasure seeker. I think the majority of us can agree that we want to seek out the things that enthrall us, that make us happy, blah blah blah. And again, there's certain, you know, natural stresses in life that get in the way of that. But if we're left to our own devices, those natural stresses would become, you know, very little, and the majority of time would be spent in that place, you know. But again, for me, I still want to be satisfied. Even if I lived in a serene, you know, stress-free, nurturing, compassionate, wise society, I would still be asking these questions. And again, I went through the whole process of maybe that there's a problem in that I have to even analyse my existence because of, you know, what we've allowed to happen here. Things have become so, you know, dysfunctional that it causes and triggers the analytic mind to kick in. I've said this so many times before, I don't want to be analysing, right? The only thing I want to analyse is, you know, my own interests. You know, how do I make that situation easier or better, or, you know, how do I progress this technology that I'm working on, or how do I get better at the guitar, or how do I, you know, support my child more, how can, you know, these are the questions. No, this political fucking, you know, economic crap that's shoved in our faces continually. Where was that? It's something else to say on that matter. Forget. Aye, increasing in comfort for ourselves. Aye, exactly. I mean, anyway, I'm getting torn here. What's your views on infinity, Del? I believe it's impossible for there to ever be nothing. Well, that's the whole point. GMW, you've got this idiotic notion of nothingness. And there can never be nothingness. The only option that's viable for me is that we're part of something that has always been and always will be. And again, that brings me back to the point that James was making earlier about, you know, the stress factor and how it can be beneficial. You know, again, you know, everybody's heard this notion of the one, the God, playing hide and seek with itself, right? That the game is to never figure the whole of our existence out, because what's the point of that? What are we going to do with that? So in a sense, it makes sense to me that that could be a viable possibility, right? That, and again, this is the quest for me. It's not about figuring every single thing out, right? What my main concern and my main problem is those who seek to manipulate, coerce and control other people for their own ends. That's where the problem is for me. It's not about figuring out the entirety of my being and my existence, right? For me, this is a massive trolling of these fuckers, because it's a huge problem for them when we start to question the very room that we're within, because they have got the majority of their captive slaves, their cattle, their sheep, focused inwardly on ideas and concepts of what it means to exist. Again, from religion to economics to, any facet of what is going on in this room right now. Right? And it's fine if you're at war with some other party over your political ideology or your religious ideology or whatever ideology, and as long as there's a to and fro and a battle internally between human beings over their idiotic mental illness ideas, that's fine, because you're staying where they want you to be. The farmer wants his cattle to stay within the confines of the farm so that the farmer has an easier job putting them where he wants them to be and taking them to slaughter when he needs them to go to slaughter. If the cattle in the farm start having discussions with each other about, well, what is this place then? This doesn't make sense. This shit. I know we're being fed and we're in it, but I'm not happy. I don't really like what's going on here. I'm going to ask some questions. In fact, where are we here? What is this? Oh no, the farmer goes into a fucking panic then. Because he can't have the cattle starting to wander the perimeter and looking for ways out. The farmer's told the cattle, this is all that exists, this is it. And for generations the cattle have accepted that because they've had nice little trinkets, warm bed, some easy food. That's fine. But as soon as they start to question what the farm is, and is the farm actually the limited, area that they've told us, then we've got a problem. And again, these people that say, why does it matter, who cares, blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, why would they lie? I mean, no, why would they lie? Why would they go to this effort? Well, again, you don't know the entirety of the situation you're in here. You have no clue about this realm, this technology, what other life is here. You have no clue about motives of any other creatures or beings or whatever for that matter. You have no idea of the bigger picture of what we may be a part of here. But because of your personal incredulity, your lack of ambition to ask questions and seek further, you just want to go, I don't know why anybody would lie, therefore, why would people go to this effort? Again, you don't know the extent of the situation you're actually in right now. Because you're too caught up in the cult and the culture that's told you that this is what life is, this is the meaning of life, this is how you have to behave, this is what makes you happy, this is what you have to strive for, this is what it means to be a success, this is what it means to be a failure. You've bought into all that stuff. And it's occupying your mind now, so you can't see beyond that. I see beyond it. I see that it's just idiotic ideas, stories for human beings to occupy themselves with. So I can surmise on certain motives, using the analogies that I just used a minute ago in regards to the farmer. But again, I still don't have access to the bigger picture. I don't know what's going on here. And neither do you, and neither does anybody else. Which is why the position has to be that we have to troll the fuckers and continually push the narrative that we require full and free exploration of the area that we find ourselves in. That's the only thing that's going to free us from the farmer's pen. Arguing about politics and economics and fucking the structure of this and this idea and this concept, it's not going to get you fucking anywhere. Absolutely fucking nowhere other than going round in circles. Again, on the other hand, if we entertain the notion, this idea of the one, the God playing hide and seek with itself, it would be in that being's best interests that none of us ever figure it out. No worries, Meryl. Brain farter extraordinaire. That was me. I just find it so shallow, so empty, that any human being would utter the nonsense of what does it matter? Who cares? You know? That's just because you've been hypnotised into chasing the little delusions that have been told to you. It matters massively. None of us have the right to tell anybody else what life is, how life should be, any of that stuff. People should be free if they want to dwell within this area. People should be free to formulate their own little clans, to formulate a way of living that suits them and those of their ilk. And as long as those, little clans and pockets are not trying to impose their ideas onto any other, then it's fair game, that's freedom. And this is exactly it, beyond belief, Well, look what happened at Waco, Texas. I'm afraid not, Del. What actually happened there, Chris? Well, I don't know what you mean. Sorry, I've lost the context of where that was applied. What was it I was saying? Chris, if you can elaborate, then I can talk to that point. Animals less distracted. Yeah. Again, that goes back to my point about the analytical aspect. As a child, you were never, analysing any of these things. Whoa, what's my existence? What does it mean to exist? Oh, the only thing you were interested in was thrill seeking, things that brought you joy, and exploring and being creative. The exact thing you stated, we should be free to live in our own way. They tried that and failed. Again, I don't get what you mean here, Chris. Who tried that and failed? Well, you could say the very same thing about the structure that we have now that we call civilization and society. It's failing. Because it's an idea. And it's a massive cult, commune. And it's failing. And within that cult and that commune, people are murdering and slaughtering and raping and pillaging each other left, right and fucking centre. Because it's centred around the idea of this shit. And it's imposing itself and influencing people. And again, I don't know the full ins and outs of what went on there at Waco, to be honest with you. I'm just the same as everybody else. I only see what they're telling me. And I don't trust what's being presented to me. All right, so I get the context of what you mean now. Exactly. I mean, that's my whole point. You know, right now we're under supposed democracy, but just as Chris is pointing out, if we decide, right, we want to go here and get some land and live on our own, we're going to be met with resistance. And back to the moron that was making the point last week, we are free. No, you're no free. Because you go anywhere, somebody's going to say, that's my land. Or you're going to have some authority figure say, no, you can't live like that. You know, you see it with the travelling community, right? And they show up at places and they move around and they park up, and immediately they're met by resistance, usually council. Oh, that's yours, you can't stay here. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck is anybody? My whole point is the attitude of human beings. That's mine. Well, where do you get that authority? Nowhere. I'm just an insecure fucking bully fuckwit that needs to feel complete by having stuff. And that's it, Sarah and Eileen. You know, people have got this warped perception of anarchy, you know, because it's been hijacked, that word, yet again. And again, people forget that that's exactly what they're born into. These social structures and norms, as people call them, they are man's order. That's man trying to play God and organise the chaos in a way that makes them feel secure. There's land here in Scotland that was divvied up by some fucking monarch. I think you've got fucking people who have inherited large portions of Scottish land who are from the Netherlands and fucking Belgium and whatever else. I mean, what is that about? Again, I'm not into this patriotic, I was born here in these here hills, these are my hills. I don't buy into any of that fucking shit either. But the point I'm making is who are these fuckwits? This is my land and I now grant thee this land and that land. I mean, fuck off. These are people with delusions of grandeur. They actually think that they're God. It's my understanding that no human being made any aspect of this fucking reality whatsoever. Not one fucking grain of sand has a human being ever produced. Nothing. Absolutely diddly fucking squat. This goes back to the whole point of this materialistic philosophy. That the whole game's about grabbing what you can for yourself. And it breeds this attitude, mine. Like petulant little fucking children, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. None of it's fucking yours. I start a new Isle of Man in the Hebrides, fucking right. TT all year round. Let's just go and grab fucking islands all around about the fucking, you know, the tropics, and we can have TT every day. That would be great. There's paradise for you. Motorbikes and sunshine. You get my point, you know, if we're stuck in this fucking, whatever this turns out to be, if we're isolated, and I'll come back to, you know, possibilities of being isolated and whatever, if we're isolated, right, human beings like you and I can sit and discuss what's important, what's relevant to human beings like us, and we can figure a lot of things out very, very quickly. And we find that the majority of us just want to live and let live and have a good time. So why are we not having a good time? Why is the majority having a shit time? We're putting up this pretense that they are having a good time. The reality is that they're not. We can turn this into whatever the fuck we like. The problem is, again, back to the hypnotic trance, people are sold on this delusion of power and stature. And these people are insecure because they want to acquire power and stature so that they can lord it over other fucking people. And we allow these mentally ill minorities to flourish and establish their structure. It's a fucking weak shit show. And it's about time the real human beings grew a fucking spine and stood up. There's no fixing it, electing politicians and this new policy and that new. Fuck off. That's more like pick a place and let's go. Exactly. I mean, is it that fucking difficult? Right. So you're into what, chopping your cock off and calling yourself Julia, and you want to do that, right? See that island there? That's where you chop your cock off and you fucking live like that. You carry on. Best of luck to you. All the best. Love you and all that. Carry on. Just don't come here telling me. I'm here on this island with Travelling Commando, fixing motorbikes and racing them around the fucking island, right? Eating nice fruit and shagging. That's our game. That's what we like. Right, cool. You stay there on that island. That's all fine. This is what we get up to. But what are we seeing? We're seeing, this mimicry, this boring, rigid, fucking same old structure every fucking where you go. I could blindfold any one of you, right, and take a motorway trip and say to you, right, you randomly tell me after 200 miles, right, tell me to stop. Now I'm going to stop somewhere at the very first exit of a motorway and I'm going to take the mask off. And I guarantee you, you're not going to know where you are because it all looks the fucking same. Everything is turning into a fucking Borg hive mind of boring, mundane, needy, clingy, insecure fuckwittery. Every fucking bastard and place you look. We're at the cutting edge. This is advancement. We are fucking living the life. We are travelling to Mars and fucking the moon and we know the whole universe and blah blah. I mean, it's a fucking lunatic asylum. That's the whole point. I see people writing that and I come to the same conclusion. It seems like to me there is no reversing this shit. It's too far gone. You can make rational, logical, reasonable sense to people and they can have these discussions and they can realise it. Then it just goes, then they get back to chasing their fucking tail again. The only way that I can see is to fucking wipe the whole fucking thing out. Now you're a nihilist. No, I'm a realist. I'm compassionate and I care and I want the best for people and I want to live in a happy-go-lucky fucking cheery place. Right? Probably just the same as the rest of you. But that's not what's here. People are fucking mentally scarred. There's a mind virus running through people that's been passed on generationally. And it's a strong mind virus. And I don't see how talking about it's going to fix it. And again, I'm talking at this level in regards to human beings and the structures and the ways of life of human beings. That's not taking into consideration the actual objective picture here, like what we call nature in the animal kingdom. And then I look there and I see another abomination. And I've got a whole other set of problems to face up to. Mother Nature, Oh, the mother nature, oh, she's... All these idiotic terms that people have adopted that they don't realise formulates this bonding, this submission, this Stockholm syndrome to the very reality they find themselves in. They come out with these utterances of utter fucking stupidity. Isn't Mother Nature beautiful? Isn't Mother Nature... No, she fuck, she's an ugly, smelly, needy, fucking incompetent, devilish, evil cunt. No fucking Mother Nature. She's a cow. An ugly, fucked up, idiotic mess. A drug-laden, fucking smelly whore. Is what I would refer to this place. You know, Mother Nature. Oh. Fuck you. Oh, look at that elephant's newborn baby being mauled to death by these big fucking powerful things with claws and fangs. Mother Nature's so beautiful. On one hand, Mother Nature's so beautiful. Oh, and that's just Mother Nature, she's a cruel beast. I mean, people are fucking schismed out their brain. They're not analysing things rationally here. So again, we can talk about human beings and our mess of subjectivity, right? And trying to fix that and talk about fixing it and whatever else. Not that I'm saying there's a way to fix it. That's not what I'm saying, right? So we've got that aspect, and then we've got this objective thing that we're calling the world and nature and all that stuff. I have to ask the questions, what is wrong with you? When you look at this objective Mother Nature thing and think that it's good or wonderful or a blessing or a gift or any of these warm, fluffy nonsenses that you spew from your position of Stockholm Syndrome, I mean, what the fuck is going on? But that's the way it has to be. It has to be like this. For what reason? So that it just perpetuates. So you're on board with perpetual suffering and perpetual misery. And you think that's good. You think that's fucking wonderful. Who told you these things? Who told you to have that idiotic notion? Because somebody told you it. Because if you were thinking about it logically and rationally, you wouldn't be saying that shit. You'd be saying exactly what I'm saying. This is a fucking abomination. Never mind man's subjective derp. That's just one wee tiny fucking idiotic aspect here. Let's look at the bigger picture. What are we part of here? Oh, it's wonderful, it's creation, it's Mother Nature, it's this, it's that. I beg to differ. But we keep going. And I wake up every day and I've got a drive to keep going because, for one, I'm not going to give up because I'm too determined. I'm like a dog with a fucking bone. And I may be deluding myself into thinking I can find out, answers to the bigger questions, but it keeps me moving forward. No, because I've got a warm, fluffy, empty attachment to this fucking shithole abomination. No. Just because I'm a curious, nosy bastard. Right? And I want to find out more about it. I don't have emotional attachments to the fucking shithole. Oh, but I can sit back, I can look at this sunset and this lovely mountain range and the colours and the beautifulness and the blah blah. But what about all the wee insects that are living under the ground eating each other and striving to survive and keep going to perpetuate the misery and the suffering? What about all that? No, but it's a lovely picture. Look at the landscape and the sky and maybe that's all a requirement and necessity, a house and harbour your fucking misery. Maybe it's these idiotic notions that keeps the fucking abomination going. Have you ever thought about that? You know, but I've just got this blind, idiotic narrative that we must survive, we must continue, we must... Who told you that? More programming, more brainwashing. You've never stopped to think about it. This is the way it is. We have to survive. We have to keep moving, and we have to, you know, have children. Bring children into the abomination and keep it going under this idiotic notion that maybe we'll figure it out and fix it. Who told you this stuff? Go and get them. Because it's certainly not a thought that's formed off your own fucking back. I guarantee you that. What do we mean by nature is beautiful in some ways? What are we talking about? What do you mean? In what ways? Oh, it's a lovely colour. Tigers are lovely colours. You going to go up and get a cuddle? No. Why? Because it's going to fucking rip you from ear hole to arsehole in 2 seconds flat and eat your innards. With no fucks given about you and your idiotic, derpy, fucking subjective wishes and desires and fantasies. Does he give a fuck about your family or that you've got kids or any of that? Couldn't give a fuck. All it wants to do is eat your fucking guts. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Look at its lovely colours, its lovely fur. It's beautiful. Why the fuck does it even exist? No, don't get near tigers. You're missing the point. You're missing the fucking point. Well, Dan, pseudo-ideal land, that's exactly it. That's the point I'm making. Yeah, sure, we have to survive to keep our species going, but where are we going then if we don't know where we are and why we are here? Exactly. This is what I'm saying to people, they've got these programmed mantras that sound fluffy and good, but when you analyse them, they're just fucking empty nonsense. Exactly that point. We don't even know where we are. We don't know why we're here, and where we're fucking supposed to go, or where we're going, or any of that stuff. But you're told all this shite. Exactly. Keep your species going for what? This is the question you have to ask these motherfucking idiotic cunts. For what? Keep it going for what purpose? What does it serve? Who does it serve? To whose benefit and what's benefit does it actually play a role? And that's it, Polly. As I've said to everybody else before, for me, I treat this as just an experience, right? I have no attachment to it whatsoever. Absolutely none. Because I don't know what it is. And I'm not going to blindly attach myself to things that I don't comprehend fully. And if it is just an experience, going back to the point of this infinity eternal thing, I've made this clear and made the point so many times. If that's the case, which for me it's the only possibility, that we're part of something that's infinite, something that's eternal. This idea of playing a game where you advance and progress and gain more and advance and progress and gain more, to what ends? If you're that one that's playing hide and seek with itself, you're never ever going to allow a structure where any aspect of yourself can realise the whole extent of your being, because it would defeat the fucking purpose. And again, if you're part of that one, that eternal, infinite thing, there is nothing new and nothing can be added, nothing can be taken away. So regardless of what you think you're learning here, it's not going to have any bearing on any of the aspect that you're already a part of. We are trapped within their lies. And again, Martin Allen, I don't want to breed victimhood in people, because people have to take responsibility, right? As a child, you get a pardon. Children should never be influenced by ideology or any bullshittery whatsoever, right? As an adult, you are the sole responsibility for everything that you tell yourself and everything you lend your attention to and everything that you incorporate into your being. Whether that be an idea of who you think you are, or an idea of what it means to live, or, you know, any of that stuff. You're not a victim. Nobody's a victim. You're willfully participating and buying into these products, these ideas, which are termed as products. So if you're somebody that thinks, oh, well, this economic structure and if I get this type of job, I'm going to get this sort of income and that's going to mean that I'm successful and I'm going to this and I'm going to that, blah, blah. And then you achieve that and you don't feel the fulfillment, that's your fucking fault. Because you bought into it. Hi, Living Awaken. Robert, I seen your video, mate. It was good to see you, you know, what you get up to in your working life there, mate. There's a few emails that I have to respond to. Forget some of them now, but there was a few and some of them were quite big. So if you've emailed me and it was quite a big, you're probably going to get a video response. Again, you know, Elisa, you were another one that sent me. I've no get the attention to sit there and fucking type. And I appreciate that you've taken the time and sent me, you know, an email and, you know, offered up your thoughts and a bit about yourselves and whatever else. I don't mean it like that. I just find it very difficult to sit in front of a computer screen and fucking type. I just feel myself knotting up inside. So the way for me to deal with that is that I'm going to send you a video response. I'll put it on the channel as unlisted and I'll send you a link to it. Same for anybody. Anybody's got any questions or anything that they want to discuss with me in any, you know, any aspect of your life or anything that you want to discuss with me or, you know, ask questions about, send me an email. And then tell me in there that you want the video response and I'll send you it. Robert, it's not even the heat I'm asking for, mate, it's just the opportunity to see the sun. That was pretty much it. Deep down, you know you're a good being, live with yourself. I mean, people can go on a discovery of, you know, their own subjectivity and you know, realise their own being. And I've said that so many times before. For me, human beings are born with a certain essence to them. And that human beings knows that they've got that essence to them. And human beings can go through a phase and phases of their life, or their whole life, trying to put up a facade and wear masks and disguise who they actually are. And that again is a problem, you know. It would be much better and beneficial to human beings if they just displayed exactly what they were. But because we have this structure of stature and opinion and influence of what it means to be popular and acceptable and blah blah blah, people are scared of that because they're shunned or they're no part of the popular crew, and there's bullying and there's all sorts of these behaviours because we establish these norms, ideas, and then wonder why we've got children on antipsychotic drugs and depression drugs and committing suicide and fucking pulling guns out and shooting loads of their fucking fellow students and fucking... Because you're trying to fucking normalise an idea and make the spectrum of the infinite and the eternal fit into a fucking idiotic man-made idea. But as long as the media and your government officials show you a bad man, so you can point your finger and say, "Hey, the bad man," then that's fine. Give the people some hate time. Because as long as they're playing the victim and have the hate time on the bad man, they'll never figure it out. Have ever put thoughts to what is beyond our known realm? Do you mean in a physical sense? Like if there's other areas or, you know, exit points to some other dimension? I mean, I don't know. I think there's any form of possibility about outside our realm or our scope of experience. We're committed right here and now to the senses and this apparatus, and we perceive this, you know, technology, and, you know, we call it reality and whatever else. I mean, I don't know what's beyond this. And again, you know, I can surmise and I can play the whole philosophical gymnastics game and theorise and postulate and blah blah blah. The reality of the matter is that we are no equipped for that. We're equipped for where we find ourselves right now. And these are mind traps, these scientific stories of existence. Again, why are people so blind to that? That's religious psychological control practice. That's no objective exploration of where we find ourselves. If you're somebody that thinks you're on the back of science and you're spouting existential narratives of where you think we came from and how it all progressed and where you think we're going and what the whole meaning and purpose of our being is, you're a fucking religious nutter. No science. And I mean that under the sense of what I think and consider as real science. Real science being exploration and practical play and investigation of what actually is, without ever writing stories about it. Making discovery through practical, real world experience. The minute we start writing fucking stories, you're playing an evil game. And it's evil. You start fucking spinning stories to human beings about who they are and what they are and what it means to be a human being, you're an evil cunt. Make no fucking bones about it. You are the fucking epitome of evil. Particularly when you're doing that to children. People talk about child abuse. They don't have the first fucking clue because they look past the fundamentals of child abuse. Don't be telling children any fucking thing that's in your idiotic subjective warped mind about what you think it is to exist and the meaning of it and all that shite. You don't have a fucking place to tell them anything. You should be fucking telling children you don't have a fucking clue. Hey children, this is this thing we call life. None of yous fucking know what's going on. These are some ideas that people practice, but they're just ideas. But children are not taught that. Children are taught, this is life, this is where you are, this is what it means, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, blah, 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 blah. Child abuse. I mentioned that to you. I think it was Siddy and Sarah and Ellen, you know, when I had the chat when, you know, the topic of MK Ultra came up, you know, and people talk about these things like MK Ultra and trauma-based mind control, like it's something that happens in some, you know, military base in Area 51 or some German concentration camp or, you know, somewhere else. Somewhere out there. No. It's been happening to you since you were a fucking child. You've been MK Ultra'd since the minute you came out the fucking womb. MK Ultra'd by everybody you experience, your family, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your auntie, your uncle, your school teacher, the fucking newsreader. It's all trauma-based mind control. Because these fuckwits are perpetuating stories and narratives and ideas of what it means to be a human. And it's abuse. It's formulating and influencing that innocent fucking child. Warping their perceptions. Limiting them. So don't talk about MK Ultra and mind control as if it's out there somewhere else. The Illuminati and the Masons are all practising it in Area 51 or some shite. The majority of people are MK Ultra and their children right fucking now. You need to go to school, you need to do this, you need to fucking do that, you need to blah blah blah. Trauma. Emotional and psychological trauma. You remember it. You felt it. Don't fucking deny it. And if you deny it, it's just because you've suppressed it. But you felt it the same as I felt it. The difference is that I never let go. I don't fucking forget anything. So that's why it fucking matters. That's why it's fucking important. Because no human being has a cunt's clue about where we are, why we're here, or any of that stuff. And we're allowing abuse everywhere, warping fucking innocent new fucking minds. Look, psychological and emotional abuse is far more powerful and long lasting than any physical abuse. Right? If you doubt it, have a look round about you. I don't ever fucking forget, Gideon. I'll never fucking forget. I can remember the very first day I became fucking conscious of my own being. I can remember every facet of what fucking went on from then until now. Everything had an impact and an influence, psychologically or emotionally. Humans of Earth, you're no welcome here, you fucking wee manipulative lying prick. You fuck off. You're no welcome. Just take it from that. You're no welcome. You're a lying, deceptive, deceitful, manipulative little cunt. Now fuck off. ad poter. It's not about knowing the entirety of what surrounds us and gives rise to us and all that stuff. Right? It's about having the freedom to go out there and see what actually is. Well, I'm no friendly to manipulative, lying little fucking pricks like you, son. So I'm no your fucking friend. I don't like you. You're a wee fanny. Now fuck off. Don't come here with the guys that you think you're some fucking truthful intellectual. You've proved it time and time again. You're nothing but a manipulative, snidey little fuck. That's all you are. That's all you ever will be to me. Now fuck off. Exactly, Ryder, Brian. I mean, the needy attention seekers are always coming to where there's strength, right? Because they're that fucking needy and incomplete that they feel they need to dominate other aspects to make themselves feel relevant or important or something. People like him are just snivelling little fucks. Waste of fucking time. Go and look at their channel. Same troll accounts watching them every fucking day. Same shit every fucking day. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pathetic. That's what he deserves though. That's all he's ever going to get. Emptiness. Because he's an empty, useless little cunt. I've seen that, Paulie. There's seems to be, a new wave of movement on these social media platforms. Again, what impact it's going to have as anybody's guess. Probably not very much, and I don't mean to sound defeatist. It's just because, again, I always have hope that, I see different pockets of people having realisations about how fucking ignorant and stupid they've been. And allowing this fucking idiotic thing that we call civilised fucking living come to fruition, because it's anything but civilised. It's ran by idiots like fucking humans of earth. And people like him are want-to-bees. They want to maintain it and perpetuate the same shit. I think there was a time when people did renewed awareness. Again, the only thing that I have is hope in that regard. Let me just fucking get rid of this fucking cretin here in a minute. Go and make another sock account, you fucking wee dick. So the only thing is hope. Again, it's why I address this. Why does it matter? Who cares? Blah blah blah. If you're an ignorant person, then it doesn't matter to you. That's why I done the whole let's play a game. Imagine you're blindfolded and taken somewhere and you don't know what's going on. and you're thrown into some area and unmasked, you know, the first thing that you're going to ask yourself is, where the fuck am I here? And again, you know, I use that analogy, so go through that scenario, and in that situation you're meeting other people who are within the same area that you find yourself in, who have been there for longer than you, who have formulated stories and narratives of where they think they are and why they're there and what it means to be there and all that stuff. And you know fine well the very first question that you ask yourself is, where am I here? Because it means nothing that all these people that have been here are telling me these stories and their elaborate fucking schemes and narratives and blah blah blah. It means diddly squat if you never actually established where you were. So again, imagine the scenario. Imagine there is other areas. Imagine there is other land. Imagine there's other ponds, other pods. And then again, imagine there's no. Imagine we're in some isolated, contained vessel of some kind. Then new questions are born. New adventures take hold. Much better than the mundane. You work for a living and you pay gas and electricity and you strive to get more stuff and have more digits in your bank account than other people. Because that's intelligence or something. Tess Sherwood, hello mate. Paul, you need to plan wisely. That, you know, once in a blue moon opportunity to go to the beach in Scotland, you have to plan around it. You have to put everything else on hold. And when that day arrives, you ditch everything else and you embrace it. Gone blurred. Oh, what's happening? I'm that fucking awesome and that beautiful. My camera can't even take it. Is it smudged? No? Did that help? Oh, blurry. Oh, I've upset the gods or something. I've trashed this fucking reality and they don't like it. The Anunnakis are fucking hating on me right now by fucking blurring my camera because that's all the power they've got. Is it focused on the shelf? Is that what it is, do you think? If I angle it down too much, you'll see me scratching my balls. I'm cautious of that. Don't know, maybe it's just on its way out. Aye. I'm a bigger mash than the camera, so therefore Cavendish come to me stuff say magic. Two days, Tanya. 2 days of sunshine. And the whole place went into a frantic meltdown. Let me see here, what happens if I... that fucks up. Nope. Oh well. Maybe the world's just not ready for the beauty of me in high definition. You know? think of all these recent UFO sightings are, and why is it being pushed in the media heavily? Because they're going to push that narrative, Mr. Armour. Been talking about that for years. You know, people were laughing. You know? You can see it coming. There's many different options for why it would be being done, but that's a whole other discussion. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be pushed and used for some agenda, because I've made the point before. Why are UFOs, if they're genuine, unattached other entities, right? Why the fuck are they hanging about military bases and military personnel? I mean, why? Or hovering above cities and then fucking off. I mean, ooh. I mean, they're obviously fucking idiots. Because if they're intelligent and wise, stop fanning about and titillating us and tantalising us. Just come and have a fucking chat, you cunt. Aliens are real. I command thee to fucking come here and speak to me right fucking now. Or what's this other shite, the Galactic Federation. The Galactic Federation, the Pleiadians and all that stuff. They've got a net over the earth and they've trapped all the evil entities in here and stuff, some reasons. Hey, whatever. If they're that fucking powerful, why are you no fucking saving everybody then? Why are you no eradicating all these fucking idiotic politicians and government personnel, telling them what to fuck off? Just fly down here and sort it out. I wonder if you can click again on a tab called camera settings, you'll be able to adjust the camera focus. Double click on camera and OBS. Resolution, color range. What did you say there, Dan? On a tab called camera settings. There's nothing coming up saying camera settings here. Configure video. I'm not going to start dabbling with the unknown here, Dan. We know what happens. Properties, no. Camera. Filters. Nah. Dabbling with the unknown. No. Nearly shut the whole fucking game down there. Well, that, this alien thing, again, back to this is a technology. Who runs the technology? Is there maintenance of the technology? Are there janitors? Is there a manager? I mean, these are questions that are valid. Again, I don't know the wider spectrum of what is actually going on here. What's involved? Who's involved? Whose technology is this? Talking about the world and, bodies and, life and all that stuff. It's a technology. Make no fucking bones about it. Whose technology? I do not know. Well, if I'm blurred out, it's going to help you not to feel so fucking inferior. So it's a blessing, right? If you can see me in full HD, you're going to feel inferior. So it's doing you a favour. Thank you very much. Do I look sexy, baby? The Chinese Disney rocket in space? I know. And I just can't get it right. If there's a problem with the sound, you know, that's resolved. Now there's a problem with the camera. No bum chin. Exactly, Alan Sturgeon. Again, it's all up for, you know, possibility. We know very little in regards to what this realm is and what occupies it, what formulated it, what runs it, what maintains it. Again, just like any other technology, there would have to be an aspect of maintenance and overseeing. So, you know, I don't know what's actually going on. There could be some other events going on, and you know, our governments, our militaries are spinning a narrative to try and control the perception of what is going on or what is going to go on, or it's just them, you know, with certain technologies ready to pull a fast one and, you know, grab full control. I mean, anything's possible here. The whole point is that we always have to maintain that scepticism, and for me, you know, a certain level of cynicism, and that, you know, I don't want a man to give me the answers or any of that stuff. I'm sceptical at everything. What's very easy to identify is that we're in a situation of, you know, entrapment, physically and psychologically. There's games being played on human beings continually. Brain could be a technology. The whole reality is a technology. Every aspect of this is technology. Do you think it's just existing in its own, surrounded by nothing, just floating about in nothingness, that objects and humans in the world are just things suspended in nothing, and nothing supports and gives rise to them? It's a fucking technology. Back to Mother Nature. Could be a belief system territory like in the astral realms as well. If it's technology, it's creation, of course. But this is the point, you know, when I say technology and creation, that does not mean that religious narratives get to hijack it as their version of creation. Right? Again, any, you know, semblance of a sane, rational person can comprehend that this is a creation. But again, that does not fucking lend credence to any religious narrative of creation just because it has a story. We can realise it's a creation and then continually explore it. Again, getting back to the whole point, we don't need to write stories about it. It is what it is, regardless of which story you write about it. Water's wet. Water takes the shape of the container and forms a free horizontal surface, a level plane regardless of what you say. Even me saying that means fucking diddly squat, because it's your experience. It just is. And anybody telling you that it's something else, another is, then they're duty bound to go through a process of convincing you that. Which this is the whole point that globe earthers fail to realise. And I'm going to say it again and again and again. Nobody's experiencing globular earth heliocentrism nonsense. Nobody. You have to be influenced and buy into it. You have to want it to be true. You have to perceive things and interpret things a certain way in order to confirm your bias. Because you're a fucking idiot. But no man, woman, child, animal, anything alive experiences any aspect of heliocentric globe nonsense. Nobody. So from that point of not even using language, just from a point of experience, then you get idiotic human beings coming with language, trying to tell you that your experience is not what you think it is, it's something contrary. Then those human beings are making massive, outlandish, extraordinary claims. So they're going to have to jump through all sorts of hoops in order to convince me that my experience is not what it appears to be. That's what the globe earth proponents need to grasp. But again, I've pointed this out. This is why the agency's involvement of pushing propaganda, making an identity of flat earth, and why I warned people not to adapt or adopt any of these fucking things, because you're not in a position to. The only position you're in is your experience, and you go from your experience and you can listen to what people have to tell you about your experience, but you have to set the bars, you have to set the filters, and be very careful that you're not a biased person and that you're not just looking and seeking out confirmation of your bias. You have to try and remain as objective and clear as you possibly can. And again, starting from the position, what's your experience? You don't experience movement, rotations, wobbles, curvature, bendy water. You don't experience any of that, outer space, planetoids. You don't experience any of these things. You've been told stories. That's the true position. That's where truthers need to be. There's no proof for flat earth. What do you want me to give you proof of my experience? Huh? See, that's the thing, Boom, me, very cautious of language. When I say I'm a realist, a lot of these terminologies and words have been hijacked by, different factions and different movements of people. When I say realist, I'm just, I accept what is, and what is what is practically demonstrable and what I can directly experience. That's what I consider a realist. Some of these extrapolations and philosophical positions, are there for discussion. But when I use the word, again, this is the thing about language and part of the cult. People don't listen to each other. People don't establish first principles with each other. People don't say, okay, we're utilising language. Now, when you said that thing, can you elaborate and can you be specific in what you actually meant with the use of that word? They don't. They hear a word and then they've had an influence and a relation of that word through some other influence, and then they automatically ascribe certain characters and beliefs and ideas to you because you utilise certain words. So if I say I'm a realist, people will go to Google and type in, what does realist mean? And then they'll get some definition through Google or some academic agreeance and their philosophical meanderings of what that means. I'm just a human being. I'm not an academic. I'm not trying to be highfalutin or any of these things. When I say a realist, I just mean I'm a realist. I accept what's real. And what's real to me is what can be practically, physically demonstrated that I can have the experience of. Well, you don't, you get these notions, these idiotic states, you don't see it as if what I mean is what I can see. You don't see air, but no, I don't, but I breathe. So for meaning air, this thing that we call breathing, I experience that. Now what's your fucking point? Then a globe earther comes along and says, well, you know that breathing thing that you do with your lungs, do you know that you could actually breathe without lungs? You don't actually need a container for the air for you to breathe. No, I've got some mathematical gymnastics derived from my image that says that you can breathe and have air pressure in your chest cavity without lungsies. I don't experience that. I don't experience breathing without lungs, containers. Right? So when you're telling me that shite, we've got a real issue here. Yes, Stuart Henney, the most accurate and oldest measuring device to establish level was water. Arwen, no according to these fruitcakes. No. And again, I heard, I can't remember who it was, they think, when people say you can't have gas pressure without a container, right? It's this relationship between two different systems. So now the globe Earth seems to have adapted itself to say, well, no, there is actually air in space. Again, if we go by demonstration, if I created a pressurised system and then I removed the container of that pressurised system, whatever surrounding larger medium it finds itself in, there's going to be what we call equilibrium ensuing, which means the pressure will equalise to the pressure that's surrounding. Now they're telling you you're in an infinite vacuum, a massive, area, and we're on this wee speck of dust and we maintain the gas around it, right? Which is total nonsense. Then they get back to this shit. Oh, well, there's a gradient because the higher up I go, the less pressure. That's because there's a downward bias and a bearing down of mass. Right? We're closest to the earth is the most weight, because that's what they're talking about, the weight of air. And just as I've said before, if you view that as your column of air, right, and I've got my scale here and I measure 14 psi, right, pressure pushing on my scale, right. Now if I take my scale up and I put it in here, so I've only got this wee portion at the top, right, it's not going to show me the same pressure, but it doesn't mean there's no stuff. Pressure, weight, whatever, it's the same shite. It's how much does something press on something else. We've established this long ago, even in regards to motion. You only have motion when something presses on something else. And how hard or heavy the press is denotes how fast and how far things move. relative density disequilibrium force. I'm not going to get into that right now, Arvin, but I don't know why that's still being repeated, to be honest with you. Exactly beyond belief. Chris, why do clouds decide to stop where they do? Look at time lapse of tankers travelling across oceans. Looks as if they are in a tunnel. I know. And it's so bizarre. And why they seem to have a flattened out bottom. It's almost like they're reaching, you know, an invisible barrier. And you know, we move around in different areas. This is why I can lend credence to certain ideas of a containment, because you know, if you've got a contained system, say, you know, we've got this level plane, and we'll just surmise and we'll say we've got like we'll say a pyramid, right? And we've got this structure, right? Now if the closer out to the edges you go, you're going to feel less pressure. Right, because there's no as much above air-wise to bear down on you. As you go further into the middle, right, where there's a higher peak to the ceiling, then you've got a higher column of pressure. Right, so there's going to be a higher pressure there than there is closer to the sides. And if you've done that physically and you had, you know, pillars that increased in their length, then you know at the bottom of the middle pillar it's going to be the heaviest, the most pressure, right? As you move outwards to the shorter ones, you're going to feel less pressure, less weight. And again, if it's some sort of enclosure, it doesn't have to be a dome or a pyramid. I mean, there could be undulations. You know, at certain areas there could be a higher point and then a lower point and then it evens out and then it goes to a higher point. I mean, who knows? We know nothing. Sean thinks he can see a curve in the ocean. Sean, at what point did you ever think to yourself that standing bodies of water can have humps in them? I mean, where do you get, other than an image on your TV screen, what aspect of your direct experience, and don't say raindrops, right? Talking about standing bodies of contained water. Where in your life have you ever experienced humps? Don't be ridiculous. If you're seeing fucking humpy water out in the middle of the ocean, I would stay off the drugs or go and get your eyes checked or something. Alright. Well, I can say that about, again, these questions have no bearing on asking the question of what shape and dimensions of the earth. Right? These for me are waste of time questions. I can surmise and I can postulate that the earth's in uniform motion. And the mathematics work just the fucking same as the globe earth mathematics, only we're using linear, straight line, uniform motion. Right? Or I can say we're tethered, you know, to some central hub, and you know, we're being spun, you know, so we've got a centrifugal effect that pushes everything in the outer regions, and that's where we get our directional vector from, and that's why we get density layers. And I can create these things physically and I can demonstrate them. Right, but what does that mean? How does that help in regards to establishing what the dimensions of the earth is? They're red herrings. Wastes of time in regards to that topic, that question, what shapes the earth? Orientation of objects, falling, density layers, all that stuff. I've seen a house fly. That was the whole point I was making with that whole thing about, you know, the earth moving uniformly. Just to demonstrate that you can come up with these notions and demonstrations that show how it could be a possibility. I don't know, Stuart Heney. I don't imagine anything. Dodbell, I've not got a clue what you're talking about. You're not getting at me, I'm only responding to other people. I've got no idea what you're talking about. How do you know tides is no because there's a drainage system? How do you know that it's a necessity to make sure the oceans clean themselves by having a constant input of fresh and a drainage system to take out the crap? Maybe if you traced all the tides, they all go to a point where there's a drain. Who fucking knows? There's also an expansion and contraction through temperature pressure, right? So you've got a fucking heat source that's heating vast bodies of water up, and you can see it at a minute level, but scale that up to us and it would seem massive, like our tides. So you've got this expansion and contraction of water because there's a moving heat source. So as the moving heat source comes closer, you get an expansion, and as it moves away, you get a contraction. I mean, these are things we can talk about. Are they related to the question of what shape the earth is? No. You should see some of that explanations, Chris, you know, some of that globe earth gibberish. And they show you these images of a globe earth. Oh, get my globe earth up, wait a minute. It's much easier. Right. Spinning globe earth. Right, so I'll wait till it comes up on my screen so I can see it. Right. So they've got this fucking thing. Right, and they say that even if the sun and the moon's run at the same side, the moon still makes this side bulge up. The moon and its magic pulling this, you know, this fucking rock, you know, magically, because it warps and bends space-time non-entity gibberish, can make the already rotund bulgy water bulge you even more, and it doesn't matter if the sun and the moon's on the other side, it'll still bulge you to this side because it's magic. I'm fucking no kidding you. Go and check. Well, Emerald Rider, it's because you don't understand. This is the world of magical space testicles. Minute micro space testicles and big massive macro space testicles that are magic. And you just don't understand. Well, Carlos, they'll say, yes, but the water is not in a liquid form. The water is still in a gas molecules. reasons and stuffs and I'm sure they've got loads of excuses. Loads of excuses. Yes, mind August, you must attend the London School of Magic to understand. Aye, what was the other thing? Marty we were talking about that the other day, and he was mentioning, is it Plymouth Rock? Apparently this rock that's been there for 400 years and it's got the same fucking watermark on it as it did 400 fucking years ago. Welcome to Globe Earth if you're a fucking mental case. If ye face a laser. Welcome to Globe Earth if you're a fucking inept, retarded cult lunatic. Yes. Because that's what your cult requires. Mentally ill retards. Because that's what you require to be in order to maintain a belief in absurd gibberish. Well, Evan, I always say that to people. We may never truly know where we are, but it's been a blast trying to find out in the shed. Well, see, the thing is, you know, it's been a blast for me to get to a position of realising what we don't actually know. And how much more freeing that is than thinking that you've got some fucking answers which are just nonsense. So regardless of whether we find it or no, it has been a freeing experience. It's been an experience of being strict and harsh with yourself about your own beliefs, your own biases, you know. And I've never felt so free in my mind, because I was at a point of insecurity and fear the same as everybody else, desperately trying to find answers to my existence. Because I knew the stories that I had taken on board and the things that were being told to me were just shit. And I never knew why they were shit at that point until I realised why they were shit. And from that moment on, it's been a sense of freedom. Because I don't have the baggage of pseudo fucking intellectual ideas weighing me down. Eddie Bravo's been here before, Alec. I'll for us with Eddie on. And in modern times, Stuart Haney, I would totally agree. I would totally agree in recent times. Looney bin earth, exactly. Exactly, Brent, exactly. But the majority of people don't actually go into reality and pay attention. They're just quite content being fed narratives and stories about reality and what's going on with reality, because they're too caught up in watching Coronation Street and flicking through their catalogue to see what BMW they're going to strive to attain, or, you know, how they can get a mortgage for their bigger and better house, or all that stuff about your actual reality is secondary to the majority of people. How long have I been laughing here? 2 hours. About 2 hours. I think it's time that I fucking buggered off. Mero, I know you wanted to totally forgot Merrill. I was too wrapped up in, shouting and bawling at the plastic camera. Next time, mate, or you can give me a shout and we can have that chat if you're still there. Oh, let me see. I thought that was quite interesting. I've seen these before, but for anybody that's not seen them, and remember when I show you this, people go, yeah, it's cameras and it's because it's out of focus and stuff, but they're quite happy to believe Galileo and these apparent fuckwits that lived 400 years ago with fucking telescopes, they had it right. But no, this modern technology that can zoom right. Anyhow, regardless of what you make, I think it's quite interesting, the composition and the structure, or the apparent structure and shape of some of these things. So this was David Gordon, who's filmed this with his P900. I'm going to share it with you because I like looking at it. She's a gas ball stuff, nuclear fusion, star planetoid thing. Refer to NASA for some cartoon images. Don't actually look at reality yourself. NASA's not going to show you anything like that. Incredible. I'm going to share the link to that in the chat box. That's a link to the video on the channel there. I was laughing earlier at QNV, Foreskin Munchers. Another good channel. There's a link for that. Yeah, let me find this. Hang on a minute. Let me see, where is it? Bear with me here. Fuck is it? What's going on? So I'll share QNV's video for these people that are hell-bent on circular pizza dish models. Reports video removed by uploader. It can't be because I'm looking at it right now. Refresh. Oh, video unavailable. You're right. It's just as well I had that saved up there then, eh? Exactly, Chris F.E. Jackson. These are just factors that people don't ever consider or think about. The channel, let me see. Fuck, it's took me off altogether now. what did I say? I said the name a minute ago. If you rewind, you'll hear me saying the name. Something Gordon. QNF's funny. I like listening to QNF's. He's quite witty, quite comical. Anyhow, two celestial poles. There only is one, you fucking idiot. You don't even comprehend your own fucking religion, you absolute bufter. Right? There only is one. And the stars orientate one direction, but if you look that way, you go clockwise. If you look that way, go anti-clockwise. Oh, I can't figure it out. Ooh. Fucking morons. Anyhow, I'll catch everybody very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.